The devil's in the details. What I was doing out there was I was analyzing today's weather, and fortunately it's not like it was yesterday, man. It was one of those days where you just walk out of the house and you sweat because the humidity was like 1,050%, and it's on the warm side, Michigan warm, in the 90s. Today seems a little bit more pleasant, habitable. Devil in the details. I was looking at my stump grinder over there. I washed it and cleaned the air filter. Keep it running nicely. Anyway, Steve, with a name like that, you're probably familiar with the movie on every... What the heck was the name of that? Steve McQueen was in this movie about motocross racing on every other Sunday or something like that. I need to watch that again. Devil in the details. It takes so long to do things that, it seems like, well, you have to work down to a growth ring or you need to rough out the outline of a bow and stuff, but the time is in the little things, the fiddly work. In the case of the Raven bow, Stevens Raven bow, I need to work it down to a reasonable weight. You kind of guess at things, you get it right, and you fire harden it, you reflex it, you rawhide back it, and then you find out, well, it's a little on the stiff side, which might cause compression problems. So I need to work that down. And hopefully, in real terms, probably the fire hardening went deep enough that I can work the belly down a little bit. Get it down to a range where I don't need to worry about it. It's like one of those things, it's low 60s at 28 inches. Too much for the red oak. I need to get it down between 50 and 55. Steve, if you want it lighter, just, tell me. But that's a good range for that. In the Newell's bow, I'm at the point now. Pretty much. I could sinew back it, but I need to also work this one down a little bit. And believe it or not, the little fiddly, sandy, scrapey, fine-tuning things can take as long as everything else. But I'm going to round the back a little bit on this. I need to work it down, and instead of going to the root of, I like that little mild kick, because not only do you make them so, I like the looks of it unstrung, you also look further ahead. What does it look like when it's strung? What does it look like when it's drawn? So it's a very complex thing. Around the back a little bit. And you can do that. You could take a really small Osage branch. You see, I worked down one growth ring down to the heartwood. Well, there's plenty of bows that were they had sapwood too. There were plenty of Osage bows that were of a small diameter that were decrowned. So when you're looking at it, you're not seeing one smooth growth ring. You're seeing lines. They'd have bows too. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty bow. And this will be quick to round the back and then pound the sinews and then sinew back it today. So Newell's bow is on the way. And then again, Gabriel's bow is just sitting around waiting. That slick little horse bow that's the black dye on the back and then the black dye again on the sinew with the white spots. That's cool. That's a cool bow. Just needs to wait. After a few days of sitting in the house, what I can do is I can put it in my greenhouse, close the door, close the vents on the top, and bake it. Just bake it. But I'm going to wait a little bit. And I can tell, it doesn't necessarily be like, oh, when can I draw this sinew back bow? Keep in mind, there's a couple of different levels of sinew back, and there's got a power layer. I want it to fully cure so it has the maximum amount of effect. So I'm going to wait 6 months. And then there's it's adding to it, right? Protecting the back and stuff. So it doesn't need to wait that long. I'm sure that like the Assiniboine and the Kiowa and the Lakota and Arapaho, Cheyenne, Blackfoot, all the tribes that made sinew back bows, they probably didn't wait as long for the sinew. I say probably, they didn't wait as long for the sinew to cure, like the Syrians and the Turkish people and the Mongols and the Huns and all those, they were making horn bows. They didn't. You know, in some cases, I imagine, you know, it's protective layer of sinew. I don't want it to break. I'm just going to let it dry. After checking my watch, my $20 Timex, I haven't changed the battery, and I bought this used off of eBay like 3 years ago. Loves me some Timex, plus the Indiglo. And this is not sponsored by Timex. I'm just wandering here. You know, it's dry. It sat in the sun for a week. Good to go. And the backing isn't going to fail because you didn't wait 2 years like, you know, people in Turkey. The great hornbow factories. Each person had their task. They waited a certain amount of time. They just didn't. And it worked. Well, anyway. That said, remember that big, beautiful stave of Osage? Thought there was a lot of bows in it. Well, here's the dealio. And it really impresses upon me. Look at the end. You know, this is the end. It checked, of course. And there's even a split down here in the center. That's a natural split. You know, they weren't sealed. But first of all, I done gathered me some Osage. Cut down, beautiful stave. What I am going to do to make sure that that Osage is going to be as useful as possible after cutting it in a way to maximize my need for bows. I'm not going to make 68-inch long bows. I'm going to make 51-inch horse bows. So do I cut that trunk into 7-foot lengths? No. I could, 51-inch horse bows, I could cut it into a little bit more than twice that length because you want to, you know, take into account checking. But, you know, well, check fire here. No. I would cut it into a little greater than the bow is going to be long because I need to split it into staves for the bows right away so I don't get in those splits. Believe me, they run into the center. There's splits in the center here because of drag. I'm going to split it into bow staves right away because it's going to help control the splits. I'm going to seal the ends so I get minimal checking. If I just leave it big like these things were, well-meaning people cutting wood, but not vast amounts of experience with Osage, you know, left them big, and it resulted in this, which is not bad. So out of that giant, that massive stave of Osage, I got two skinnies in one. Look at that, how that pinched out. I peeled the bark off of it. Peeled the bark off ears too to keep bugs from getting in it. Peeled the bark off, and I noticed they actually, I think, kind of fit like this more or less. It was broken into thirds, right? You can picture this. This is deceptive because I'm looking at this skinny part here. Picture even thirds. I'm going to get 3 staves out of this. If I rotate this, you'll see what I mean more. Look at this. This is what I was seeing. I was seeing a major split running the great length down this one side. I've got thirds. Wonderful. I'm just going to split this third off. I've got 2/3 more or less. This one was a little skinnier. And I can split this in half starting up here, right? Because when you're splitting it, you have to split things into halves. Because if you don't, if I tried to split a skinny one off of this one's going to flex and then it's going to run off. You have to split things into halves unless you've got a splitting break. Google that. I'm not going to explain that. A splitting break, which could be a dual stem tree they're close together, and you can split one side. It's like splitting cedar roots. Well, so I started splitting this. It's doing well. It's doing well. And then, oh no. this happened. It didn't split directly in half. If it split directly in half, I would have had 3, not 2. Now here's the story. Now let's talk about money. Show me the money. Osage is a precious commodity. And I've had a lot of people requesting Osage bows, right? This isn't the only Osage I have, but replacement costs for this thing that I might be able to get, I don't know, another level of bows out of this if I split it very carefully. What I'm going to do definitely is draw knife it, both of these things, and get the width of the bows going deep in, and then I will be able to see if I can get another bow out of the inner stuff, splitting it off. And that's not that hard, because when I draw knife it and get it nice and level all the way through, you know, create a rectangle of sorts, I'll be able to see the growth rings. And then I could go and use, not this one, but just an example, one of these things, to go into the growth rings to split it very carefully. You know, it won't be perfect. I'll have to draw knife it again, but we'll see. But getting back to the replacement cost, you know, if you want an Osage bow from moi, especially if I have to buy a stave, you want to have like where 'tis Osage longbow, and I have to buy the stave. It's not going to be cheap. I'm sorry, it just is not going to be cheap. It's one of those definitely kind of things, if you have to ask, you can't afford it. You know, don't expect to get an Osage bow from me, and I don't want to be too crass, but it's realistic. You know, at Red Oak prices. I want to send you back to Osage Bow, John. Well, before you kick the wheels and ask me, you know, how much would it cost, and be disappointed if it's not $125, I just have to say in the front, the replacement cost for that stave alone, you know, if I bought it, I don't even know if I want to buy them on eBay, because I've had such bad luck on eBay, except if LE Enterprises, Vern sells it, you know. And there's a couple other people. OsageOrange.com, for example. It's expensive. Just saying. But yeah, that's about it. That's my day. That's my day. What do I say? I watched some videos today about certain subjects. I'm not going to comment. Boy, I would love to. I would love to, but I'm not going to. Oh, 2 days in a row, man. Don't have to go to my day job. And I don't have any stump grinding or tree jobs lined up. Maybe I'll keep the sound turned off on my phone so no one can find me, you know, to do that, because I want to just work on bows these 2 days. Lovely, lovely stuff. And mow the lawn. I'm going to mow the lawn, which I'm a townie now. It takes me half an hour to mow the lawn. I mean everything, even trimming. It's kind of nice. This is interesting. Remember that weird eBay stave I bought for almost nothing? I bet you I can get 2 horse bows out of this. You know, it's thin. And in the center, where you would glue on a riser if you wanted to make American style longbow, it's not going to work. Look at that. I mean, you'd have to do some serious wood shaping there. But as far as like horse bows, let's see what it is. And this was split, so they follow the fibers. In the center, well, we're looking at 2 inches wide, which is 68, almost horsebow length. Dead center, we're at 2 inches, which is acceptable, because there are some horsebow in the books that are a little less than 1 inch wide. Less than 1 inch wide. Again, probably not going to get greedy. I'll make 1 horsebow out of that. Don't try to get 2, get nothing. 1 for sure. What other things do I have here that I want to work on? After this, get these things all shaped up, and when all the sinew's drying and got nothing to do, no commitments, it's on to hickory and black locust horse bows, gull wings, and I also want to just make like a straight one with that just little minor deflects up there too. Those are perfectly good bows. You know, everyone loves them some gull wings, but you know, there were other ones that weren't gull wings. There's also, I want to point out, the reverse gull wing, where it would have been like this, and a deflex reflex. You know, you'd say, wow, they're holding the bow wrong, and when I hand one of these things to somebody to look at, they're always like this. Intuitively, I guess they recognize the value of a deflex reflex, or a reflex deflex, whatever the hell it is. But there were also horse bows that were like this. Rare, but I saw one. I done saw one. Now it's time to stop yapping. Get Newell's bow ready to sinew back. Pound some sinew, and then on to Will and Carlos's bows. These are going to be cool. 51 inches. Ugh, heavy. Because Will and Carlos are brawny guys. Strong guys. Horsehair tufted, full on. We're going to take you out, General Custer. Saw a group of arrows from Little Bighorn. Hang on to your shorts. These 24 arrows were pulled out of one guy. Boy, it was a bad day for somebody. It's a good place to end.